ideally she would make the first move. Nothing too brazen or emasculating or forward or overly familiar in manner, but a perfectly proper and platonic proposition, gently bubbling with most improper promise, extending the arm of friendship in such a way that it could be followed to the elbow of companionship, up to the shoulders of intimate acquaintance, and further still to a whole heavenly body of extended metaphor. She would say, "Do you like coffee?" And he would say, "Who doesn't?" And she would say, "Actually, I prefer tea." And he would say, "Me too," but you can't say that, can you? You can't say that because it doesn't sound right. It's not what you do. It's not the done thing. It's not sophisticated enough. I mean, that's why we all go for coffee and say, "Would you like to go for coffee?" And how about you and I go for coffee? I mean, you can't go for tea. No, it's not dynamic enough. It doesn't require the active verb. Tea is essentially a passive pastime. But sometimes that's all I want, you know. Sometimes all I want is a cup of tea. And I wouldn't even have to go for it. No, ideally it would just arrive in a pleasingly esoteric mug for preference, with a biscuit, maybe two. Leave the packet. You know what? Forget the biscuits. Your cake, or a hot chocolate, or a Horlicks. Even should the events of the day have proved suitably taxing thus far, but you can't, can you? Because you're locked into this warm beverage fascism. And while we're on the subject, when do we start calling them beverages? All of a sudden they're drinks, for crying out loud, and sometimes all I want is a cup of tea. And she would say, "I know exactly what you mean," because she would know exactly what he meant, and she would laugh, because it would be very funny. And he's a really funny guy, she'd say. He's a really funny guy, she'd tell all her friends. So not he's a really funny guy because that can be misinterpreted, but he has a great sense of humour. And then if she so wishes, she can add, "He's a really funny guy," because with the previous qualification, that shouldn't give the wrong impression. Yes, that is exactly how it should happen.